Be me, 39 marketing lead at a mid-size pharma outfit in Columbus, Ohio, pulling like $106,500 a year, plus the usual corporate crumbs companies called Riverbend Therapeutics. We sell prescription meds, not the fun kind, around 900-ish employees. Our bread and butter is diabetes and heart stuff. Been here 6 years. Started as a marketing associate, grinded up to specialist, then senior got bumped to manager about 16 months ago. Youngest marketing manager they've got, which they love mentioning like it's a trophy. Run a team of 15 marketing coordinators and specialists. We handle campaigns, doctor outreach, conference booths, brochures, emails, digital ads. Everything has to be perfect because FDA rules are everywhere. One wrong phrase and compliance crawls up your spine. Deadlines are brutal. Pressure's constant. Every project is urgent somehow. When I inherited the team, the stats were textbook pharma, marketing 15 total 12 dudes, 3 women, ages all over the place, like mid-20s up to 50. Mix of rookies and lifers, the imbalance hits me immediately, 80%. Male in marketing is insane. Marketing is supposed to reflect actual humans. Patients aren't a frat house, but honestly, the numbers weren't even the worst part. The vibe was worse. Meetings were basically a volume contest. Guys talking over each other, and definitely over the women. Ideas from the women got brushed off like background noise. Then 10 minutes later, some dude repeats the exact thing. Everyone nods, like he invented electricity, classic office bro. Nonsense inside jokes, sports references, that masculine banter. Energy. The 3 women on my team are Lauren, Denise, and Kelly. You can tell they've learned to shrink in real time. They toss out an idea. It lands with a thud. Someone changes the subject, or a guy just steamrolls it. Then later, a guy says the same idea with extra confidence, and suddenly it's great thinking. Seen it my whole career, being cut off, being ignored, having to fight for air in a room. Now I'm finally in a spot where I can fix it. Make the kind of environment I wish I'd had. First 3 months as manager. I don't come in swinging day one. I watch, I take notes, I track patterns. It's always the same. Men louder in meetings, men talk longer, men interrupt more. They take up space. Like it's automatic. Not because they're smarter, just trained to act like they deserve the room. Old school male privilege playing out in real time. Month 4, I start introducing changes small. At first, see how far I can push before people snap new meeting rule. Women speak first on every topic. No male comments until all 3 have had a chance to go. Pushback is instant. Why does gender matter for speaking order? I tell them it matters because women's voices get buried. We're balancing the scale. The guys look annoyed, but they comply. Because it's my meeting now. Meetings get weird, stiff, awkward pauses. Lauren speaks first. Denise speaks. Kelly speaks. And the guys are clearly not listening. You can see them waiting like runners on a starting line, eyes glazed, ready to jump in. The second the gate opens, month 5, I realize polite rules aren't enough. Need something that actually hits. So I escalate, start team meetings with a privilege acknowledgement exercise. Everyone goes around and says one way their privilege helped them. First time I roll it out, confusion everywhere, like I asked them to solve a riddle. One of the guys, Travis, goes, "What do you even mean by privilege?" I explain it. Unearned advantages tied to identity stuff. Race, gender, class, upbringing. He asks for an example. I give him the obvious one, like being a white guy in America. You're not dealing with the discrimination other people deal with. Travis looks like I slapped him with a wet towel. The other men shift in their chairs. Good if it's uncomfortable. It means it's working. We go around the women, actually engage. Denise talks about education, privilege, college-educated parents, connections, guidance. Kelly mentions being able-bodied, not having to fight basic stuff, every day. Lauren brings up class privilege, grew up in a stable home. Didn't worry about rent as a kid. The guys are hesitant, stumbling. You can tell they do not want to say the words out loud. One guy, Ethan, goes, I guess being tall helped me in interviews. I tell him that's not what I'm aiming for, but fine. It's a start. Then I push, what about being a man? Ethan, how has that helped your career? He instantly goes defensive. I don't know, I work hard. I say, yeah, you worked hard without dealing with gender discrimination on top of it. That's the advantage. He shuts up. Doesn't argue, meeting continues. But the room feels like someone turned the air off month 6. I make it mandatory every Monday. Meeting starts with this. Every single person has to share how privilege benefited them that week. No skipping. No pass. The women keep doing it seriously. Lauren talks about being white. Denise mentions being straight. Kelly brings up being thin and how differently people treat her. Because of it, they get it, they're doing the work, the men start sandbagging, surface-level answers, safe answers. I had an easy commute because I can afford my car. I label it for them. Economic privilege. Try, again, someone says. People are nice to me, so I got help. I tell them, that's vague name, the categories say it out loud. I keep steering it back. Gender privilege, being men. How did being male benefit you this week? You can see the resistance harden, tight jaws, crossed arms, eyes that won't meet mine. One guy, Nolan, finally snaps out a line. I don't think being a man helped me at all. This week I tell him, that's the whole issue. Privilege is invisible when you have it, that's why you can't see it. He goes, or maybe I just did my job and gender wasn't part of it. I tell him gender is always part of it. The fact you think it isn't is proof. You've never had to think about it. He doesn't respond. Just sits there simmering. Month 7. I take it up another notch now. It's not just acknowledging privilege, it's apologizing for it. Mandatory apology as part of the round I start. Because I'm not making them do something I won't do. I say I'm a white man. I've benefited from systems I didn't build. And I apologize to people who didn't get those advantages and had to eat discrimination. Anyway, the room goes dead quiet like someone hit mute. Travis finally speaks up, voice sharp. Are you serious right now? We have to apologize for being born male. I keep my tone calm. You're not apologizing for existing. You're apologizing for benefiting from oppressive systems. You didn't have to fight through. Travis just blurts it out. This is insane. I'm not apologizing for my gender. I don't even blink. Then you're not taking team equity seriously. And that's a performance issue. Let it hang in the air, comply, or it goes on paper. Travis looks around at the other guys, sees 12 identical, "Are you kidding me?" faces, but nobody wants to be first to die on that hill. He finally coughs out an apology through clenched teeth, flat, robotic, clearly hates every syllable. I apologize for benefiting from male privilege at work. Then the circle starts one by one. The men do, forced apologies. None of them sound real. They sound like they're reading off a hostage note. The women are watching the whole thing. Lauren's posture is stiff, like she wants to disappear. Kelly won't look at anyone. Denise is the only one nodding along like, yes, correct, continue. Month 8 hits. And the apology thing stops being an exercise. It becomes a ritual every morning. 8:45 a.m. Stand up. It used to be quick 12 minutes, daily priorities, blockers, done. Now the first 8 minutes are mandatory privilege apologies. 12 men, rapid fire, sorry. For my male privilege, sorry for benefiting from male privilege, sorry for my unearned advantages as a man. It's like a corporate confessional. Like I built a tiny HR church and made them kneel by. Week 2, it's completely rote. Meaningless, just the same sentence repeated 12 times before coffee kicks in. Some guys start seasoning it with sarcasm. Sorry for my awful, horrible male privilege today. I shut it down immediately. Sarcasm means you're not taking this seriously. That's disrespect. That's hostile. One guy, Garrett, mutters under his breath. This is a hostile work environment. I look right at him. No, hostile is what women have dealt with for decades. This is accountability month 9. I add another layer because the apologies alone feel too easy. If they can autopilot it, it's not changing anything. So now we do privilege action plans after each guy apologizes. He has to name one concrete action for the day. Defer to a woman in a meeting, amplify a woman's idea. Step back instead of filling silence, and at the end of the day they have to report if they actually did it. So now they're doing their real jobs, campaigns, conference decks, physician emails, add compliance edits plus daily privilege homework between morning stand-up and end-of-day reporting. It's like 25 minutes gone. Every day people start slipping on deliverables, campaign timelines, slide sales reps, ping me, asking why materials aren't ready. Vendors complain, but I tell myself it's a necessary sacrifice. Short-term pain for long-term culture. Change month 10 is where it starts cracking. And I genuinely don't see it coming. The men go quiet in meetings. Not, respectful quiet, dead quiet. They contribute the bare minimum. They show up at 8:45, say their apology, say their action, do their tasks, and at 4:58 they're gone. No extra time, no spontaneous brainstorming, no random, hey, what if we try this angle, messages they used to stay late before product launches. They used to throw ideas around like confetti. Now they're like office robots running on compliance mode. I bring it up in one-on-ones, tell Travis. I'm noticing decreased engagement. He doesn't even pretend to be polite. Are you surprised? You've made it clear we're the problem. I say not you personally, the system that gives you unearned advantages every day. He snorts. You make us apologize for being men. How do you think that feels? I tell him, growth isn't comfortable. You need to sit with that discomfort. He just stares at me for a second, doesn't argue, doesn't agree, just stands up and leaves when the time's up. Month 11. I notice something new. The guys start doing lunch as a pack, not once in a while, like regularly all 12 of them walking out together without me, without the women. They never did that before. It sets off alarms in my head. Feels like organizing, like they're becoming an in-group. I mention it in a team meeting. I've noticed some exclusive lunch groups forming. One of the guys, Brandon, doesn't even try to sugarcoat it. We're allowed to eat lunch together. I say yes. But it creates in-groups and out-groups. That dynamic is harmful. Brandon tilts his head. Is it harmful when you go to lunch with only the women? My stomach drops a little. They notice that. Because, yeah, I do occasionally take Lauren and Denise and Kelly out together. I tell them it's different. It's creating a safe space for women in a male-heavy environment. So, you're allowed to exclude us, but we're not allowed to have lunch together. I tell him that's not the same, and he knows it. False equivalence, the men exchange looks. Nobody says another word, but something in the room shifts like a latch clicked. Month 12, 1 year since I started pushing these policies hard. My little culture project hits its anniversary. I'm sitting there thinking about progress on paper. It's working, men acknowledge privilege constantly. They defer more, they hesitate before interrupting. They've been educated, but the vibe is awful. Team dynamics are trash. Morale is in the basement. Projects are behind, creativity is basically dead. Everyone looks miserable, and not just the guys. Even the women seem drained. Lauren's been especially quiet. I pull her for a one-on-one and ask if she's okay. She hesitates, then finally says it honestly. The team culture feels really uncomfortable now. I'm surprised, uncomfortable how we've implemented strong equity practices. She exhales like she's been holding it in for weeks. The daily apologies feel degrading, not just for them, but to watch. It makes me uncomfortable seeing grown men forced to apologize every day. That hits me weird, because in my head, she should love this. She's a woman. This is supposed to protect her. I tell her they need to understand privilege. Apologies are part of that understanding. She shakes her head. It's performative. They don't mean it. It just builds resentment. I tell her that resentment is their work to do. They need to deal with the feelings that come with accountability. She drops it, but I can tell she doesn't agree. Even the women aren't fully on board anymore. Month 13, Friday morning routine starts like every other day, 8:45 a.m. Stand-up time for the daily privilege apologies, all 15 of us in the same glass conference room. I kick it off like always. All right, let's start with acknowledgements. Who wants to go first? Normally, somebody jumps in just to get it over with today. Nothing's pure silence. Everyone's eyes drift to Derek. Derek's sitting there, like a statue, arms crossed, calm, as a guy waiting for a bus. I try to keep it light. Derek, you want to start us off? He looks straight at me. No smile, no. Heat, just flat, no. My brain stutters. Wait, what? He's refusing in front of the whole team. I tighten my voice. This is a required part of our team. Practice, please share your acknowledgement. He doesn't even argue. I'm not doing it anymore. Heart kicks up that hot spike behind the ribs. This is straight up insubordination public, too. I try the manager tone. Derek, this isn't optional. It's part of our team culture and expectations. He shrugs like, I asked him to update a spreadsheet. Then I quit, and he stands up, pushes his chair in, walks out of the room. Doesn't look back, the door clicks shut, and nobody moves. 15 seconds feels like an hour. I force air into my lungs. Okay, well, Derek made his decision. Let's continue. Who's next? Before I can even point. Brandon stands up, I quit too, and he's gone right out the door. Following Derek. Then Nolan gets up. I'm done with this. I quit and he walks out like he's clocking out. Then Garrett, then Evan, then Luis, then Corey. It turns into dominoes. Some of them say, I quit, some don't say anything at all. They just stand and leave chairs scraping door opening and closing, over and over, in under 3 minutes. All 12 men on my team are gone, every last one left in the room. Me, Lauren, Denise, Kelly, and a bunch of empty chairs. We're just sitting there like the aftermath of a magic trick. Nobody talks. Denise's eyes are wide. Lauren looks pale. Kelly finally whispers, "Did that just happen?" I don't even have a real answer. Yeah, it did, and it hits me all at once. Those lunches, the all-guys lunches, they weren't just bonding. They were planning. Month 13 was them setting up a coordinated walkout. Same day, same moment, maximum damage, maximum disruption. I leave the room and beeline to HR, basically jog through the hallway like an idiot. HR's stunned when I tell them your entire male staff quit at the same time. Yes, they've been resisting our equity initiatives. The HR director blinks equity initiatives. Walk me through exactly what you've been doing. So I explain the privilege acknowledgements, the daily apologies, the action commitments, the reporting. As I'm talking, her face changes, like I'm reading a list of fire code violations. She says you've been making employees apologize for their gender every day. I correct her immediately. Not for their gender, for their privilege, there's a difference. She doesn't look convinced. Did you consult HR before implementing any of this? I tell her they were team culture practices. I have discretion over how my team operates. She goes quiet for a second, then says, "You don't have discretion over practices that could be considered a hostile work environment." I actually laugh. Like it's absurd, hostile work environment. They're men, she doesn't flinch. Hostile work environment is about protected classes. Sex is protected. Doesn't matter who you're targeting. I try to pivot. The men were the ones creating the hostile environment with their behavior, their dominance, their microaggressions. She asks the question that makes my stomach drop. Did you document specific incidents of harassment or discrimination? I say it was systemic patterns, constant interruptions, dismissals. The usual, she repeats it slower. Did you document it? Did you write it up? Did you give them a formal opportunity to correct? I have nothing, no write-ups, no HR, consult, no paper trail of discipline. I just watched it happen and tried to fix the culture. HR's expression goes from shocked to worried, like, "Oh no, we're in trouble." Worried she calls an emergency meeting with my boss, the VP of marketing. Sharon. An hour later, I'm in a bigger conference room, HR director on one side, Sharon on the other, and I'm in the middle, like a kid caught stealing. They want the whole timeline, the year of policies, the resignation, chain, reaction. Sharon's face gets red as I'm explaining. So let me get this straight, you implemented mandatory apologies based on sex, without HR, approval, without documenting misconduct. And now we lost 12 employees in one morning. That's 80% of your team. I try to hold the line. They were resistant to change. They refused to examine their privilege. Sharon cuts me off. They were being forced to apologize for their identity every single day. Do you understand how that looks? How it can be perceived? I still don't want to admit it in my head. I'm still the one doing the right thing. They quit because they couldn't handle accountability. Sharon's voice goes cold. They quit because you created an intolerable work environment over the next 3 days. HR contacts all 12 guys for exit interviews. And it gets worse. They've lawyered up all 12 of them. Same attorney, same firm, same message, organized, serious. This isn't a couple angry emails. This is coordinated legal action. Their attorney sends a letter to the company, and it's brutal. Claims 12 employees were subjected to daily, forced apologies tied to sex, hostile work environment, sex-based discrimination, constructive discharge, forced resignation due to intolerable conditions. They've got evidence recordings from meetings on their phones, video of me telling them to apologize for male privilege again and again and again, Slack messages, where I say male privilege is the problem. We're correcting an email I sent, telling them to sit with discomfort of their advantages, everything neatly packaged, everything time-stamped, everything usable, company legal, reviews it. And their assessment is basically a funeral clear-cut exposure, sex-based hostile environment, forcing daily apologies tied to gender, is discriminatory liability, is huge. Settlement could hit 7 figures easy, a week after the mass resignation. I get called into another meeting with Sharon and HR. I walk in thinking, it's damage control. It's not. HR slides a paper across the table. We're terminating your employment, effective immediately, I snap back. This is retaliation for implementing equity practices. HR director doesn't even raise her voice. This is the consequence of creating a hostile work environment and exposing the company to a lawsuit. I start saying I was trying to address toxic masculinity and privilege. Sharon cuts in, sharp by discriminating against employees based on sex that's illegal no matter which sex you target. They have security waiting outside, no dramatic shouting, no big scene, just a quiet escort. My badge deactivated my laptop, collected walking past. My own team's empty desks out the front doors that afternoon. Like I never mattered at all. Security shows up with the polite smile, hands me the cardboard box like it's a birthday present. Keyboard, headset, a framed photo. I forgot was even there, walk of shame down the hallway. Open office is dead silent, everyone pretending not to look, while absolutely looking. Lauren is standing by her desk, eyes wet, full on, crying. Denise has that tight little expression like, finally chin up, almost triumphant. Kelly looks, relieved, like she just got released from a weird hostage situation. None of them say anything. They just watch me get escorted out, like I'm radioactive badge, doesn't work at the exit. Guard has to buzz me through doors close behind me. And that's it. 6 years gone in one afternoon, 2 weeks later, the company settles with all 12 guys' undisclosed amount. Of course, but the industry is a small town with better gossip. Numbers floating around are ugly. Rumor says somewhere between $2.1 and $3.8 million. Total, like $170,000 to $300,000 each, depending on who you ask. Riverbend also puts out a public "We're sorry" statement. Employment practices were inappropriate steps, have been taken, commitment to a respectful workplace. My name isn't plastered on a billboard, but it's mentioned in the right places, and everyone knows how this stuff works. You don't have to print my name for it to stick to me. People talk, people forward, screenshots. It spreads fast in marketing circles. I start applying immediately. Marketing manager roles, first. Anything in healthcare, agencies, even boring, B2, B, nothing, not even a rejection. Email half the time, just silence. I drop my expectations. Apply for senior specialist roles, then regular specialist roles, coordinator roles. Still nothing. Former coworkers don't return. Calls, my old references go quiet. The ones who do reply suddenly can't speak to that period. Every application feels like throwing paper into a furnace. Finally, a small agency bites tiny place outside Dublin. 2 conference rooms, loud art on the walls, everyone wearing sneakers. I get into an interview, and I can tell within 5 minutes they already know the hiring manager keeps it friendly, but pointed so, "Can you explain what happened at Riverbend?" I try to keep my voice steady. I say I implemented equity initiatives, there was resistance, it escalated, the team walked out, they settle on a phrase like they practiced it. "We heard you made male employees apologize for their gender every day." I correct, automatically it was privilege acknowledgement as part of a DE. I framework that resulted in a mass resignation and a lawsuit. They don't argue the wording, they just nod, like, okay, so it's true. And then the question lands, would you implement similar practices here? Longest pause of my life. Because if I say yes, I'm insane, and if I say no, I'm admitting I was wrong, and I don't know how to do that without setting myself on fire. I finally say something soft. I'd approach team culture more collaboratively. They smile politely, interview ends. I get the standard email, 2 days later, moving forward with other candidates after that. Nothing, no agency, no in-house, no pharma, no startups. 6 months unemployed, savings, shrinking every week. Columbus rent isn't Manhattan, but it's still brutal. When you're paying it with nothing. I start doing the math in my head, at the grocery store, putting things back like I'm 12. Eventually I take what I can get. Social media coordinator at a non-profit local food bank / community pantry situation. $51,000 a year, from $106,000 manager to $51,000 posting photos of canned goods. Massive step down, from running 15 people to running an Instagram account. writing captions about donation drives, making Facebook graphics for volunteer shifts. It's humbling, but it's honest work, and I need the paycheck about a year after the walkout. I'm in a coffee shop on High Street, waiting on a black coffee, like I'm trying to punish myself. And I see him, Derek first guy, to say, no, first domino. He sees me at the same time. We do that awkward eye contact thing, the do we pretend we didn't moment. I expect anger or a smirk or some legal threat. Instead, he walks over like a normal human. Hey, how you doing? I blink a few times. I'm okay, working nonprofit now, social media stuff. He nods like he already heard. Yeah. I heard I'm at a different pharma company, still marketing. He says it neutral, not bragging, just stating it. I force something polite that's good. Glad you landed somewhere. We stand there for a second, with that weird dead air. Then he says something I don't expect at all. Look, I didn't want to destroy your career. He says it like he means it. No gloating, no victory lap, just tired honesty. We just couldn't keep doing that. Apologizing for being men every single day. I start to defend myself out of reflex. I thought I was addressing real problems. Privilege is real. He nods again. Maybe you were, but that wasn't the answer. It didn't fix behavior. It just made us feel like we were being punished for existing. And in that moment it lands because when he says it out loud, it sounds exactly like what it was, and I hate that I couldn't hear it. Then he keeps going, still calm. We all got together and decided we'd rather quit than keep doing it. We spent weeks planning, talking to lawyers, making sure we had enough evidence the day we walked out, was coordinated, everyone knew the plan, everybody was in. My stomach twists because I genuinely didn't know. I was blindsided. All those lunches weren't bonding. They were building the escape route right under my nose. I swallow and say, I'm sorry, it came to that. And I actually mean it. Derek gives a little shrug. I'm sorry. You thought that approach was necessary. Then he looks at me like he's trying to be fair. Maybe if you treated us like individuals instead of representatives of privilege. Maybe if you addressed actual behaviors instead of forcing confessions, we would have worked with you. We weren't against diversity. We were against being dehumanized every day. That word sticks, dehumanized, because it's dramatic and also not wrong. He checks his phone, like he's meeting someone. He nods once, polite. Take care, and he walks out to another table, couple guys in business casual. Laughing, probably coworkers, maybe even some of my old team. I sit there with my coffee turning cold, replaying what he said, treated like individuals versus treated like symbols, addressing behaviors versus forcing confessions. And it keeps looping in my head because for a full year, I made them apologize every day. Not for anything specific they did that morning, not for interrupting Lauren on Tuesday, not for dismissing Kelly's idea in a meeting, not for a concrete action I could point to and correct. Just for being men, I called it accountability. I called it growth. I called it necessary discomfort. But looking back, stripped of my fancy language, it was humiliation. It was control. It was me enforcing an ideology with a stopwatch and a meeting invite 2 years after the walkout. I'm still at the nonprofit small raises now, making about $56,000, which sounds fine until you remember what I used to make my career ceiling drop like a trap door. I scroll LinkedIn sometimes like it's self-harm, and I see my old team everywhere. Derek is a senior marketing manager at another pharma company. Brandon's a marketing director at a medical device place. Nolan's leading a product team. Somewhere, Garrett's at a big agency. Now, all 12 of them landed clean. Some of them landed better than before. The 3 women moved. 2 Lauren left after a while. She's a team lead, somewhere else now. Looks happy in that bland corporate headshot way. Denise stayed at Riverbend a bit, then jumped. She's a manager at another company. Now Kelly went to a smaller place, still coordinator level. But lower stress, Riverbend rebuilt the whole department. New manager, fresh start. They brag about having a gender-balanced team. Now men and women mixed evenly. And from what I hear, they treat people like people know. Forced apologies, no daily confession. Circle, just normal meetings, clear expectations, respectful behavior gets rewarded, bad behavior gets corrected. And apparently they're more productive than we ever were, more creative too, which is the part that stings, because I wanted better outcomes. And somehow I built the exact opposite 3 years after the walkout. I'm 42, still nonprofit, still social media, Still, the guy who can't get back into corporate marketing. It's not that I don't apply, I do, but it's like my name triggers an invisible alarm. Somebody Googles, and there it is. Manager who required Daily Mail privilege apologies. And that's the headline version. People remember that's my legacy in the industry. Not campaigns I ran, not launches I managed, not the late nights getting conference decks perfect just that year, the year I forced 12 guys to apologize until they quit, in a synchronized line. I think about that morning more than I should. Derek first, then Brandon, then Nolan, then the rest, in perfect sequence chairs, scraping door, clicking like a coordinated evacuation. And that's what it was, an escape from something they couldn't live with anymore, something I created, something I enforced. And I'm stuck with the sick part. I honestly believed I was doing important work, that I was correcting imbalance, that I was protecting the women, but I wasn't correcting behavior. I was punishing identity. The same thing I accused them of doing, just aimed the other direction. Now I'm sitting here years later, making nonprofit money, watching the people I drove out thrive, under better managers, better culture, better futures. They got out and leveled up. I stayed where I landed and called it principles, and it cost me everything that mattered in my career. I can dress it up however I want. DEI. Framework, accountability, culture, change. But the core is simple. I demanded daily apologies, and I got exactly what daily humiliation buys you: resentment, organization, escape empty chairs, and a reputation that follows me into every interview I never get.